Welcome to Tuesdays with Travis. You guys know the drill. Hopefully, you guys have had a good weekend up to this point. Steeler fans, sorry, I don't know what else to say, but Vikings fans, bet you Viking fans are having a great week. So cheering for you guys. We're not here about football. We're here to talk about the Lord. And hopefully you had a great Sunday. Even you Steeler fans, hopefully your church had a good Sunday. I know that we did here at the Glen Street Free Methodist Church. And on that note, I would like to take a minute to let you guys know about something exciting that's happening here at the Glen Street Free Methodist Church. We are starting a, we'll call it a service for lack of a better word. This isn't going to be a typical church service. It's going to start February 11th. It's going to be an evening time service. This isn't going to be a typical church service. We are going into this with a mindset of reaching out to those that wouldn't typically come to church. We have our heart set reaching the addicts, the recovering addicts, their families, people of this community that wouldn't normally come to church, that wouldn't normally feel comfortable coming into a church. We want to make sure you have a service that you feel comfortable coming to. This is, like I said, not going to be your typical church service that you imagine on Sunday mornings. Maybe you've been to church in the past and it just wasn't for you. I've got a feeling this is going to be for you because that's what we're aiming it for. So if you're listening to this and you have been to church before and you just didn't think it was your thing, you didn't feel comfortable, you felt judgment, whatever the situation was, we want to invite you to the Glen Street Free Methodist Church, February 11th at 7 o'clock. Trust me, you're going to not want to miss this because we want you to meet the Lord and we want to make sure that we make an atmosphere that you're comfortable in, that you feel that you can worship in, that you feel that you can seek what you're seeking in. We're here for you because the Lord is here for us. So we want to make sure that you guys know about this. If you're watching this and you know somebody like that, then I challenge you to tell them. Not only challenge you to tell them, but I challenge you to bring them on February 11th to the Glen Street Free Methodist Church at 7 p.m. We're calling this On the Corner Ministries because our church sits on the corner of Idaho Street and Glen Street. And our saying here at the Glen Street Free Methodist Church has always been, we know that God has put us on the corner for a reason. We know that He's put us on this corner of this street, these two streets, for a reason. And we believe that we are given the opportunity by our Lord to offer this community something different, something that they're not used to when it comes to church, with the same message, the same gospel, that same saving grace that Jesus has for them. We're going to offer that, and we want to make sure you're here for that, or we want to make sure you bring people for that. So, with that said, we invite you to the Glen Street Free Methodist Church, February 11th, Sunday night at 7 p.m. With that said, let's move on to Tuesdays with Travis lesson for the week. If you watched last week, you saw I was a little fired up about the Charles Manson debate over his body and things of this world that we don't need to be worrying about, but it seems we want to focus on. Because eventually our time is going to end on this earth. And after that, our options, our opportunities are over. We face judgment. And I want to make sure your soul is in the right place when that judgment time comes. And so continuing with that, I usually don't preach messages on, this talking about death so much. But I just want to make sure you guys are ready when that time comes. I just feel strongly about this. So with that in mind, we're going to turn to 2 Kings, chapter 20. Talk about Hezekiah and Isaiah. Chapter 20, starting in verse 1. In those days, Hezekiah became ill and was at the point of death. The prophet Isaiah, son of Amoz, I'm terrible with these old names, so those of you that know, forgive me if I pronounce that wrong, went to him and said, "This is what the Lord says. Put your house in order, because you are going to die. You will not recover." Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord, "Remember, Lord, how I prayed, or how I've walked before you faithfully and with wholehearted devotion, and have done what is good in your eyes." And Hezekiah wept bitterly. Before Isaiah had left the middle court, the word of the Lord came to him. Go back and tell Hezekiah, the ruler of my people, this is what the Lord, the God of your father David says. I have heard your prayer and seen your tears. I will heal you. On the third day from now, you will go up to the temple of the Lord. I will add 15 years to your life, and I will deliver you and this city from the hand of the king of Assyria. I will defend this city for my sake and for the sake of my servant David. So Hezekiah is essentially on his deathbed. And Isaiah goes and says, this is what the Lord tells me. This is what the Lord tells you. Prepare your house because you're going to die. Plain and simple, we're not going to sugarcoat it. You're going to die. And Hezekiah prays to God and says, Lord, I've been faithful. I've prayed to you. I've listened to you. I've sought your counsel. Please don't let this happen. And notice when Isaiah leaves and God tells him to go back, the message that he sends to Hezekiah is not, I'm going to let you live forever, but it's, I'm going to add 15 years. There's still going to be an end to your life. You still need to prepare your house for when that happens. We still need to prepare our house for that day when we die. Well, there's a few houses that I'd like to talk to you about this morning. One, your household. You need to make sure your household is living for the Lord. You need to make sure your household is serving God. Make sure they're in church. Make sure they're active. Make sure you guys are doing devotions together, or you're talking about what you're doing in your own devotion. Talk about your studies, the questions you have, the things that you're inspired by. Listen to K-Love, or listen to Air One, or listen to Christian music in the car. Make sure your lives are centered around God. Men, I'm going to call you out. Men of the house, you need to be the man of the house. And I'm not talking rule with an iron fist. I'm talking you need to serve the Lord as an example for your family. And you need to be that spiritual leader in your household. And I get that some households that might be listening don't have a father in the situation. And some households might not have a mother in the situation. As the parent, bottom line, man or woman, I don't care, you need to make sure that your household, that you and your kids are focused on the Lord. I think that's where most of our problems stem from today. Is the Lord isn't in a household and things start to fall apart, and we wonder why. And there's going to be people that disagree with me, but I don't care. It's biblical. It's when you have God in the center of your relationship, not everything's perfect. Not everything's going to go the way you plan. Things are going to happen. You're going to go through trials and situations that are hard. But if God is in the center of your household, if your focus is serving Him, then these trials, these situations, these hard times, you're going to seek Him even more, and you're going to get through them. God will lead you and guide you through them. Without God, without the salvation He has, I don't know how people go through this life. But if you as your family is serving God, it's so much better. Make sure your house is in order as your household. The second household is your church. If you aren't involved in a church, I challenge you this year to find a church to become a part of, to become a member in. Not just attend on Sundays because you have to, but become a member, become active. Because that church needs you. I always tell the people of our church, of God's church here at the Glen Street Methodist Church, that we need your skills, your talents, your gifts that God has given you in order to make this church successful. And our definition of successful is reaching the community so that lives may be changed through the love and the salvation of Jesus Christ. That's success to us. And in order to reach those people, there's people out there that you're going to be able to reach that I can't reach. There's situations you've been in, testimonies you have that I haven't, but other people out there have, and you're going to be able to reach them. There's ways of thinking and creativity and skills that you're going to have that I don't have, that others don't have. We need everybody to be active in the church to set the church, our church home, in order. And ultimately, those skills and those gifts are to come together for the will of the Lord. which is to serve this community, serve the community you're in, and reach those people that need him, which is everybody. And then lastly, I don't want this to get too long, but lastly, in order to do those things before, in order to set your household in order and your church house in order, you have to set your house in order. You need to make sure that you are serving the Lord, that your heart, that your mind, that your life is given to Christ. Every morning. It's not just a one-time go to the altar, cry, ask for salvation, and good to go. It's an every morning decision that you wake up, you decide, today I'm going to serve the Lord again. Today I'm going to give my life to him again. It's an everyday thing that you need to make sure you're doing. Make sure you're in the Word. Make sure you're looking for him, seeking him, looking for opportunities to serve him. This house needs to be in order before you can even think about getting your household in order and your church house in order. You got to be good here. So I challenge you, if you're not, contact me. If you have any questions about anything I've said today, how am I supposed to get myself in order? How am I supposed to get my household in order? How am I supposed to be a part of getting the church household in order? If you have any of those questions, please reach out to me. I'm very excited about what the Lord is doing in my heart and how he's taking it outward into my household and to the church household. And I want you to be on board with that. Whether it's at the Glen Street Free Methodist Church or at your own church, or maybe you're not involved in a church, you need to get involved in a church, period. And you need to get your household involved in serving the Lord, period. God bless you guys. I love you. These last two videos may have seemed a little harsh, but like I said, I just want to make sure you guys know for a fact what you have to do to get your lives in order. Because that day is coming. Prepare your house, because you're going to die. And as says in the book of Amos, prepare to meet thy God. Every day you need to be preparing to meet God, because today might be your last. And with the snow and the ice the way it is, God forbid. I want to make sure that you're ready. That when that time comes, whenever it is, that you can stand before the Lord and you can hear him say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And you can enter into the gates of heaven. That's what I want for you. And I want for while you're here on earth, I want your whole focus to be serving the Lord so we can serve him together. Like I said, God bless you guys. I love you. We'll see you next week.